Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Community Connect session, the effective collaboration and resiliency of the program, TB program, community and civil society organizations to end TB under the challenging war conditions in Ukraine. So this session will describe how in this difficult condition, civil society, community, and the Ministry of Health government representatives has been working together to end towards fighting towards tuberculosis. So we have three presentations lined up for today. And so starting from, I will introduce our first speaker is Dr. Yana Terlieva, who is the NTP manager. And we will start with Dr. Yana Terlieva. And then we will have Liliana Caralon. She's consultant of the Stop TB Partnership for Ukraine. And then we will have Olha Swili. She is the program manager for TB program under the Stop TB Partnership operated by Alliance for Public Health in Ukraine. So let's listen to our presenter, and then at the end of the session, we will have some time for question and answer so that we can discuss in depth how the collaboration and partnership happens in this very difficult condition. So I will ask to start presentation of Dr. Yana Terlieva. Oh.
I'm grateful for the opportunity to greet all of you, dear colleagues. Today is more than 8 months since we fight for our right to independence, freedom, life, and our future. The consequences of the war will be global. Today we are facing humanitarian and economic consequences. Today Russia is waging a brutal war that is creating the conditions for real public health disasters. It is predicted that this will worsen the situation with tuberculosis. According to the UN Migration Agency, more than 12 million people are estimated who have been displaced, and more than 30 million need urgent humanitarian assistance. This is the biggest migration crisis since World War II. The war took a heavy toll in the Ukrainian healthcare system as well. Hospitals and other public health facilities were partially or completely destroyed. More than 1,100 health facilities were destroyed and damaged. More than 120 of them were completely destroyed and cannot be rebuilt. The war which the Ukrainian people have faced can be protracted and unpredictable. Hospitals and medical facilities that are located in relatively safe areas are still in constant danger due to the threat of missile strikes. For the first time in the history of independence Ukraine, the healthcare system is adopting such large-scale challenges and accepts it professionally and selflessly. At the same time, the medical system must double or triplicate care. It is providing due to the constant increase in the number of wounded, both military and civilian, among whom a significant proportion are children. Considering that in areas with active hostilities and taking place of there is a threat or missile strikes, a large number of people stay in cold, humid premises, sometimes under unsanitary conditions, which make the risks of various infectious diseases spread, including TB, extremely high. At the same time, we understand that such a shift means less priority in the care of patients with tuberculosis, HIV, and other. TB remains a significant challenge for Ukraine's healthcare system. Ukraine has the fourth highest TB incidence rate among 43 countries of the European region. About 30,000 cases of tuberculosis are registered every year, of which about 30% are drug resistant. DRTB remains a public health threat in the country. These rates are considered high compared to other countries in the European region. The anti-aggression of the Russian Federation in Ukraine has resulted in civilian casualties and the destruction of civilian infrastructure, forcing people to leave their homes in search of security, protection, and assistance. I would like to express my gratitude to all the countries that have already accepted and continue to host and accommodate Ukrainian families. I would like to express special gratitude to the neighboring countries where the vast majority of our citizens left for Romania, Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Moldova, and others. We feel powerful support from other countries. We feel how warmly and caringly you support every Ukrainian who has found protection in your country. Unfortunately, many people with TB discontinue treatment or don't have access to social program, and we have to think about it. We inform you that the National TB program can provide medical information about a person with tuberculosis. For this, it is necessary to contact the European office of WHO or directly to the National TB program of Ukraine. We know how much countries are doing to remove barriers to access to health care, but according to the National TB program, patients continue to face difficulties in accessing medical services abroad. Today, the main strategy of the Russian occupiers is the destruction of the energy infrastructure, water supply systems, heating stations. Just imagine that in the capital of Ukraine, about 3 million people are without electricity, water, and heat. Millions of Ukrainians remain without electricity every day. This provokes new waves of refugees. Regarding approaches to TB treatment in Ukraine, we would like to inform you that Ukraine is successfully implementing modern international approaches and practices in the treatment and medical care of TB patients, including those with drug resistance, in accordance with the latest WHO recommendations. The treatment standards are fully in line with WHO guidelines. We use new drugs, bedaquiline, delamanid, pretamine, a powerful contribution to the fight against tuberculosis and the activity of social workers, volunteers who today risk their lives to deliver medicine, food, and warm things for people with tuberculosis to places where hostilities are taking place. What can any of you do? You can support Ukrainians, save lives. For this, spread the truth about the events in Ukraine, support humanitarian and medical aid organization for Ukraine, in particular the United 24 initiative. Together with partners, the National TB Program of Ukraine, with the support of Public Health Alliance, provide collection of needs for the people with tuberculosis, medics who provide assistance. It may be the needs for medicine, warm things, generators, and others. We appreciate the support and assistance provided by the international community, governments, organizations, institutions, NGOs, and individuals. At the same time, Ukraine will continue to take care of every citizen, regardless of his at a particular time, and the National TB Program will make every effort to ensure that every Ukrainian with tuberculosis has the opportunity to be cured. I wish you to all peace and health, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Yana. That was a great speech and presentation. So now I will move to Liliana for presentation.
Dear friends and colleagues, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. It is a pleasure to be with you in this meeting today. My name is Liliana Karaulan. I am a CRG consultant with Stop TB Partnership and will be presenting today on behalf of the Challenge Facility for Civil Society team. As you know, Stop TB Partnership work to advocate, catalyze, and facilitate sustained coordination and collaboration among partners, to support development and scale up innovative approaches and tools, and to facilitate equitable access to TB diagnostics, treatment, and care for all in need in countries affected by TB. The main area of Stop TB partnership cooperation with Ukraine stakeholders and partners include, is not limited to, procurement and supply of TB drugs and diagnostics, long-standing fruitful collaboration with communities and civil society organizations in country, support with Global Fund strategic initiative on finding missing people with TB, support to NTP and partners in the implementation of the Global Fund grants, both TB, HIV, and C19-RM, support for the strategic planning of TB diagnostic network, and support as key technical partner for the USAID-funded projects aimed at ending TB in country. Stop TB partnership has a strong country-level presence with ongoing and sustainable investments in CRG to NTB, advocacy, human rights programming, community-led monitoring, gender transformative interventions, creating and supporting community participation, reaching key and vulnerable populations, amplifying the voice of the people and communities affected by TB, and all this through different streams of support. The first stream is a TB community-led monitoring initiative that supports introduction and nationwide rollout of One Impact, an innovative digital solution for empowering people and communities affected by TB and generating strategic data for normative and programmatic change for a CRG-based TB response. The second stream is a challenge facility for civil society, a mechanism for communities and civil society to engage and meet the needs of their communities. Under this stream, 2 country grants in each of the last 3 application rounds have been allocated to Ukraine. The first stream is a national Stop TB partnership platform that supports Stop TB Ukraine establishment and operation. Since the war started in Ukraine, Stop TB partnership has been one of the most proactive, fast and flexible agency that engaged in coordination and alignment with national and international partners to ensure availability of TB products and care in country and beyond for all people affected by TB. It engaged in reprogramming the challenge facility for civil society grants activities towards emerging needs of people with TB upon the grantee's request. Stop TB partnership has secured donation of ultra-portable X-ray devices with artificial intelligence for TB screening among key population, and the approach is operationalized via TB people. The partnership has secured donation of GenExpert instruments and cartridges for TB testing among Ukrainian refugees in the neighboring countries. It engaged in advocating for continuity of TB services in Ukraine, including the World TB Day, press briefing, and many other national, regional, and global platforms. The partnership has supported the National World TB Day online event organized by the Stop TB Ukraine, as well as many other initiatives. Mobilizing resources, engaging and coordinating the efforts across all TB stakeholders in Ukraine and outside is more critical now than ever, and Stop TB partnership stay committed to further facilitate equitable access to TB diagnostics, treatment and care for all people in need, and supporting response to emerging needs, including by enabling initiatives such as the one presented today, an initiative that brings together different country partners for a platform to overcome and meet urgent and fluctuating needs of people affected by TB caused by war. We want to say thank you to all partners that united under this initiative: the National TB Program Team, Stop TB Partnership Ukraine, and the Alliance for Public Health for dedication, resilience, and the work they do to support each and every person affected by TB in these extremely challenging times. Thank you, and glory to Ukraine.
Thank you, Liliana, for very good presentation. So I will now ask the presentation of Olga.
Hello, dear colleagues. My name is Olga Zvili, and it's a great honor for me to speak at Union. And I'll tell you about the example of collaboration between state and civil society in Ukraine in these hard war times. Due to the military aggression of the Russia, additional unforeseen needs have arisen in the healthcare system of Ukraine because of occupation, medical building destroying, logistics problems, leaving of medical staff, and priorities changing, taking into account the problems of public access to quality primary health care and the huge number of wandering and injured citizens of Ukraine. What we have learned is that in times of war, coordination of efforts across all TB stakeholders in Ukraine and outside is critical. As such, the initiative of the Public Health Center, it's our national TB program, and Stop TB Partnership Ukraine was prepared to create a platform for convening, collecting, and finding ways to meet the needs of people affected by TB, and this became possible with the support of the Alliance of Public Health within the project of the Stop TB Partnership Challenge Facility for Civil Society. Such mechanism for communities and civil society engaging and meeting the needs of their communities affected by war became TB Help Hub, a platform to collect and meet TB needs. The platform covers different range of needs: treatment, diagnostics, logistics, water, sanitation and hygiene, emergency response, and more. Needs from all around the country are collected via Google form and just by emails, are being verified by Public Health Center and Stop TB Partnership Ukraine, and channeled to stakeholders for support. So we collect these needs and made some fundraising, I would say, to find the way how these needs can be solved, can be met. We engage to the process of solving defined needs, not only traditional TB stakeholders, but also organizations which help Ukraine with wider mandate. And it isn't so easy as we would like it to be. So the goal of the platform is ensuring a rapid and mindful response to war-induced TB challenge. Tasks of the platform is collecting information on the changing needs of people with TB needs in Ukraine, is dissemination information among potential donor organizations operating in and supporting Ukraine, meeting identifying needs and reflecting the dynamic of their satisfaction. And here you can see results of a few months of our work. As you can see, mostly it was meeting needs in foodstuff, some different food. You can see butter, flour, sweets, some even salted sugar, so different. And also yes, food services for inpatients, and some equipment. And if we look at the distribution of aid by regions, we can see that the most part of help went to Chernihiv, and that was TB clinic there was destroyed. Also, TB clinics at the territory which were not occupied have much more load because of necessity to serve patients from more affected regions, and they also needed our help from the platform, and they got it. And as for our plans for nearest future, now we've got needs from Odessa Regional Center of Socially Significant Diseases, and their first need is rebuilding of protective shelter. As you know, I think our cities very often become a goal for bomb attacks, and in Odessa, this medical center placed in the old building near from the city center, and that is additional risk in current situation. The patients and medical staff should be saved, so they need this protective shelter. Also, they need some medicine for the TB therapy side effects. And with this case, we are at the beginning stage. It means we found a donor organization, several meetings with them, found the way how this need can be met, and started to move on this way. Also, we have needs from Bucha Primary Care Center. I think a lot of you heard about Bucha tragedy. We had in spring, and so Bucha Primary Care Center needs electric current generation for dot cabinet. And here we still looking for donor, so welcome. If we have such ability to help us, it would be great. And I want to thank you for your attention, and I'll be glad this experience will be interesting for you and useful, but I hope it will be useful only theoretically. And in case you want to help TB institutions in Ukraine, please write to Stop TB Partnership Ukraine. You can see email on the screen, and we will be very glad to collaborate with you. Thank you one more time. Bye.
So thank you, Olga. Thank you, everyone, for their presentations. So now actually I will invite the panel and also open the floor for question, if there is any question from the audience. I actually said, kind of ask if anybody has any question, please put it on under question and answer, and maybe also you can do it in the chat as well, perhaps. So there is a question. So there is a couple of questions already coming in. So the first question I have here is for Liliana. Thank you for the great presentation. How does international cooperation reflect on ensuring coordination with the country? Please give an example.
Thank you. That's a great question. In fact, what happened in Ukraine, and most probably at country level, it's all known. All donors came together in one single platform to secure there is no overlapping in support provided to country, and at the same time that there is no gap that stays uncovered. And I'm speaking here mostly about health commodities, drugs and diagnosis. But as you have heard from earlier, there is much more needed, which goes beyond the capacity of the donors that focus on health. It's about generators, it's about reconstructions of some of the health facilities that have been destroyed in order to secure provision of services can happen the way it is used to. So for the health commodity side, Stop TB Partnership, Global Fund, USAID, and WHO and many others that input or support the country on that side the coordination is ensured. So for that, there are working groups that are held together with the public health center, and the donors synchronized the efforts in response to the specific country needs that, as you have heard, are very much changing, subject to whether one territory is occupied or not, or that the supply chain is functional or not. That's how the coordination for health commodities happen. For the supply side, there's more in-country coordination, because it's about how those goods reach the people in need. And most people, as you have heard, have been displaced, not necessarily reachable by the health institution, and that's where the community organizations and civil society gets in and secure that where supply chain has been interrupted, drugs still reach through other means to the people in need. So I hope my answer is sufficient. If not, please let me know. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think, it is quite clear. But while we wait for maybe more answer, I have a question also perhaps to Liliana, to you about, in this difficult condition, for example, Ukraine is going through now, it's a war situation. And at the same time, we also look at how to protect the rights of people, and especially in this difficult condition. So, we know that a Stop TB partnership has been supporting Ukraine and many other countries on the community rights and gender. What additional, support or additional activities or efforts, if you will, would like to see in the country in terms of protecting the rights of people, especially considering in the war condition?
Yeah, thank you, Zahed. Well, first of all, from the Stop TB partnership perspective, we are there fully to support your initiatives, and being on the field, better where the risks are and where the gaps are. The main goal for all of us here dealing with TB is to secure support, care is in place for everybody, everywhere, notwithstanding the difficult conditions you are going through. And from our perspective, the reorganization of the initiatives we are supporting is acceptable as long as it responds to the needs of those in need. Because when we speak about community rights and gender, basically we want the care to reach everybody and to be accessible. We might have drugs in the warehouse, but we need to secure they reach those in need, especially those that are not able to reach the health facility to ask for them. And that's why we stand near you as civil society and community organizations that have done a lot during these conditions to deploy services for those displaced internally. We also support the deployment of services that for those that have immigrated in countries neighboring Ukraine, and secure they get access to diagnosis and they get access to treatment. Over. Back to you, Zahed.
Diana, thank you so much. Yeah, I think it is, we are in the country, and countries, stakeholders and partners are in a situation where regularly dealing with such issues, I think would be in a better position to outline it. But definitely, I think support, which is organization like a Stop TB partnership, also WHO and other technical agencies would provide this not only financial, but it's also technical. So for example, advocacy, if needs to be done with the government and things like that, I think that is also helpful to understand the views of international stakeholders and partners. So I have another question for you. So it says, you gave a progressive presentation that outlined strategies in place. Has there been progress post-COVID, and now that the war is not as it was previously. War is not. I don't really get complete text, but so what I understand is that has there been any progress of COVID since the war? War wasn't there last year, but now there is a war. But is there any changes happen in terms of post-COVID? What do you want to see? Yeah, something like that. Can you see the question?
So Zahid, is this a question to me?
Mr. Islam, you can use to make it smaller and see the question.
Now you can see the question, I think. Can you see it? Okay. Liliana, maybe while you read it, maybe I will ask a question to Olga, yeah? Olga, question for you. How many medical institutions apply for help precisely through the needs collection platform tool?
Thank you for the question. It's not too much, I should say, because we are one of the tool among a lot of others. And it was a decision from the very beginning of creating the platform. Then we will cover needs which can't be covered by PHC and by partners which PHC engaged to the to this process. So we are as I told, we are trying to engage not usual TB stakeholders to find help for our TB or institutions or just medical institutions, for example, primary care, which anyway have some deal with TB. So it's we are covering those needs which are additional to big requests from TB institutions to public health center. We are such additional help tool for our NTP.
Okay. So I understand that it is an additional support. In addition to NTP, this support will be assigned. So exactly, so maybe just a follow-up question. So besides healthcare facilities, do you have patients who are writing the needs on this platform or not? I mean...
No, this platform is not for patients, but for institutions, because there is another platform for patients. It's One Impact. This tool is served by TB People Ukraine, and they are collecting needs of patients and try to supply them directly to patients, or if these needs are the same for many people with TB from one region, they are working through TB institution also.
Okay, thank you. So maybe Liliana, I will come back to this question again. So I think what I understand is that question in an essence is this: has there been any progress post-COVID, despite maybe the war is in Ukraine, but it doesn't say Ukraine, but in generally, I think that's what it is. The question is about.
Yeah, thank you, Zahid. As far as I can see, I see two questions for me. I start with the first one is linked to COVID and what is happening now in the post-COVID, but basically wartime in Ukraine. So definitely, yes, there has been progress in Ukraine since COVID started. And 21 is a year that shows recovery in most of the countries with slow pace, but still recovery from what COVID brought. And for Ukraine, I can say there have been a lot of different models of care deployed, including by community and civil society, to secure services are reaching those in needs. To my from my point of view, those services have been successfully used forward during wartime, because most of those approaches, which are diverse from the health system approaches, are still in use today and help the Ukrainian people to respond to the needs of people with TB. Basically, using quite innovative approaches and modalities to bring commodities to people, to secure people have food support and any other support that make secure they stay in care. And I see a second question for me as well. It's linked to the basically the approach.
I think second
use.
question you answered already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was first in line.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused with how the
No,
questions
that
come
question
up
I
in
already
the
asked,
Q&A
you
section.
answered. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. But I have actually a question for both of you in regards to, Ukraine is going through war. And in terms of prioritizing the country, let's say, objective, if you will, or country political commitment comes to my mind. So next year, there will be a UN high-level meeting in New York, especially focusing on tuberculosis. So this will be the second time this kind of meeting is going to happen. So I'm just question is twofold. One is how much it is priority for the country to, prepare a good message from the country in order to emphasize tuberculosis is still important, and country still has a commitment to fight TB. And at the same time, how can, from the Stop TB Partnership, as we know, they are organizing, providing many different support. And how come the Stop TB Partnership can support Ukraine to bring out that message and, take this as an important milestone for the country. So there's a twofold of question. One, maybe for Olga, in terms of how can prioritize in this difficult condition, how we can prioritize UNHLM. The second question for Liliana is, how can you support country to make that, amplify that message of importance of TB in the UNHLM?
Thank you, the head, for the question. So, of course, we won't stay outside the process of UNHLM meeting preparation. And we understand that for our state, now there are too much very serious challengers which are connected to war, and maybe from time to time TB is somewhere outside of their view. And we, I mean civil society organizations and TB community together, because we have very strong collaboration here in Ukraine, we will do everything to push our state, I would say, to not to make them not forget about TB problem, because usually war is such it has a very bad effect for TB from our experience. If we can read some historical data, so it's we are going to make several meetings at the national level, and to be sure all necessary stakeholders are involved in the process. Ministry of Health, social policy, and of course we will try to engage to the process the Office of President and other stakeholders, and we will put TB issues at the top level, and we'll do all we have to present Ukraine in this meeting, and to make this message from Ukraine to the world, and this message inside the country about the importance of TB and of the process of our fight with this disease.
Thank you. Thank you, Olga. Yeah, it is quite important from the country, despite, the war is there. I mean, we are not sure, nobody knows when it's going to be over, but TB will remain with us for a very long time. So I think despite the war, we need to make an effort to, make sure that, TB gets the highest priority in this very high level meeting next year. Thank you. Liliana, please.
Yes, thank you, Zahid. Fully agree with you. It's the challenges you are facing now and are unprecedented, but if we think about the meeting to come next year in September, it's an important one to once again stress the needs about TB, the targets that we assumed all but have not necessarily met till now. For everybody to know, the meeting next year will have 3 components. TB is one of them. The 2 others will be focused on universal health coverage and prevention and preparedness for pandemic. Basically, what we think about under that is COVID. But in a way, all these meetings can be linked to TB. So I think as a country, but also as a global force. And I'm saying global force when I'm speaking about Stop TB Partnership, because Stop TB Partnership is a partnership. As first, it brings together partners all over the world, in Ukraine as well. So basically, for all of us is to make sure TB is high on the agenda at country level, at regional and global as well. But then also make sure it's part of the narrative around universal health coverage. Because we want all the person with TB to be tackled as person with all the needs. Beyond TB, we speak here about comorbidities and other conditions. And when we speak about COVID, TB is also there. And we have learned a lot during COVID time and how TB can support COVID and vice versa. So basically how we can streamline efforts around multiple conditions. What is also important for the upcoming UNHLM are the countries that will chair the meeting. And Poland is one of those 2 countries, along with Uzbekistan. Poland, as you know, has acquired the biggest number of Ukrainian refugees, speaking in absolute figures, since the Russian war has started in Ukraine. So it's a country that is a good ally to Ukraine and a supporter for the people that have been deployed there. So basically, for me, to my extent, it is important for you at country level to sensitize and work together with the decision makers. and then to also work together with the Poland representative that will be there to chair the session, to secure that your messages are strong and voiced on that platform. And then, of course, from the Stop TB partnership as a large, we need to secure your message flow into the regional and global messages, and they are strengthened along with many others. So basically, it's a work that we need to embark all together, from country to global and from global to regional and country. It will be a back and forth process that we need to take seriously, because UNHLM only happens once in 5 years.
Yes.
We don't need to lose this opportunity to once again speak about TB that's curable and that we are badly managing because of so many gaps we have in our national and international responses.
Thank you so much, Liliana. I think we have unfortunately run out of time. This is extremely interesting discussion, and I'm really, on behalf of the session, my name is Jahidul Islam, also work with Alliance for Public Health. I would like to thank all the participants joining and discussing, actually listening to the difficult condition in Ukraine due to the Russian war. And despite these difficult challenges, I think the country, together in a collaborative approach, that country has been trying to actually support the TB community and the treatment, as well as the entire national TB program. So I would like to thank everyone for your questions, and also all the speakers for your presentation. Unfortunately, Yana Terlieva could not join because of her connectivity issues, but I think we had her presentation. So thank you again, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye.